In the heart of Lagos, beneath a cathedral gilded in sunlight and grandeur, something extraordinary was about to happen. Though no one knew it yet, the stained glass windows scattered soft hues across the marbled floor. The pews filled with whispers, perfumes, and glittering eyes. The city's elite, dressed in imported lace and dripping in diamonds, shifted delicately in their seats, murmuring behind fans and iPhones. They were here for the wedding of Edward Usu, the most sought-after billionaire in Nigeria, and his picture-perfect bride, Tiffany. All the right people had come. All the wrong people had begged for invitations, and every camera was trained on the altar, where perfection was supposedly seconds from being sealed. Edward stood tall, handsome, in a designer tuxedo that clung to him like wealth itself. His diamond-studded wristwatch blinked as he checked the time. For the third time, lips pressed together in growing impatience. Tiffany stood beside him, radiant in an off-shoulder ivory gown that shimmered like starlight. Her veil trailed behind her like mist, her makeup flawless, her expression a perfect mask of bridal bliss. The pastor cleared his throat, his voice echoing off cathedral walls. "Shall we proceed to the vows?" Tiffany turned slightly, smiling sweetly. "Excuse me," she said softly. "I need to use the bathroom. I'll be right back." A ripple of polite laughter swept through the congregation. Edward blinked, leaned toward her, and whispered tightly, "You're serious?" She squeezed his hand. "I just need a minute. I'll be back before you say I do." With that, she glided down the aisle, graceful, composed, a ghost in white silk. 10 minutes passed, then 15. Edward's face hardened. He leaned to his best man. "Go check on her." The man returned minutes later, panic in his eyes. "She's not in the bathroom. In fact, she's not in the church at all." Gasps echoed like thunder through the pews. Phones buzzed. Tiffany's bridal train stood paralyzed. The whispers turned to murmurs, then to rumors. "She didn't. She wouldn't. She did." Edward whispered, his voice flat with disbelief. His jaw clenched. Pride collapsed into fury. Humiliation surged in his chest like wildfire. He stormed out of the cathedral, pushing past reporters and flashbulbs, ripping his phone from his pocket. He dialed voicemail again. Nothing. "She just vanished." He snapped at Tiffany's maid of honor. "Where is she?" I don't know. She didn't say anything." Within an hour, the church was nearly empty. The scandal had spilled into the streets of Lagos, like oil into water. Tiffany's name trended across social media. Runaway bride. Billionaire dumped. Usu humiliated. Before Edward could reach, his Rolls-Royce cameras descended like vultures. "Sir, any comment?" "What now? Where to?" Edward growled at his driver. "Anywhere but here." As they drove aimlessly through the mainland, Edward sat silent, brooding. His perfect world had just cracked wide open. Tiffany had left him at the altar. Not in private, not quietly, but in front of the entire society that worshipped his name. His grip tightened around the edge of his seat, fury turning to something colder resolve. Then at a quiet corner street he saw her. It wasn't the cathedral. It wasn't high society. It was dust and laughter. Sweat and smoke from a suya stand sizzling at the curb. A group of boys huddled there, joking and eating. And there she stood. Veronica braids, tied back blouse, tucked into faded jeans, sandals worn from work. A cooler of drinks strapped to her waist, hands moving fast, voice louder than the traffic around her. "Guy, if you know, say you no one pay for extra meat, carry your rubber and go. You think saying a charity I run," she said, smacking a bottle onto the counter. Laughter roared. Edward blinked. Who was she? He couldn't stop watching. She was loud, yes, but alive. Confident in a way he hadn't seen in years. Not polished, not posed. Just real raw, magnetic. "Who is she?" he murmured aloud. The driver answered without being asked. That's Veronica. She's always here. Does everything. Sells drinks, braids, hair washes, clothes. No nonsense. Babe. Fierce like fire. Veronica tossed a soda to a barefoot kid running past. Tell your mama, say Veronica, say thank you for that Ara yesterday. Oh. Edward found himself opening the car door and walking toward her dress shoes crunching on gravel. She noticed him instantly. Hey, Uncle Abeg. Oh, I know. Get change for 5. Kobo, she said, not pausing in her movements. I'm not here for drinks, he replied. She squinted at him. Then you dey block my breeze. Shift small. He chuckled the first time he'd done so since morning. I want to talk to you. She folded her arms. Talk wetten you think? Say I be Run's girl? No, he said seriously. I want you to be my wife. The street fell silent. Even the Danfo buses seemed to pause. Veronica blinked. Then she laughed, a deep, thunderous laugh that turned heads. You don chop madness, which kind Yahoo joke be that? I'll pay you 30 million marriage on paper, public appearances. A few events, you keep your life. I keep mine. I need a wife immediately. Veronica stared at him like he was a goat trying to sell Bitcoin. 30 million cash or transfer. He smirked. Any way you want it. She grinned wide. Ogre billionaire, you just hired yourself a wife. An hour later they were back at the cathedral. The guests who hadn't left gasped. Edward walked back up the aisle, not with Tiffany, but with Veronica still in her tight blouse and rubber slippers, her drink cooler abandoned in the back seat of the car. Who is that? Someone whispered. Nah, the new wife be that, another replied. Pastor. Edward set his face like stone. Let's continue. This is my bride. But sir, she's not even dressed. I'm paying your fee. Double marry us. Now. Veronica leaned in and whispered. You sure say in a real wedding we dey do so, he muttered back. Just play your part. The vows were read. Veronica repeated them with amused defiance. When asked if she would honour and cherish him, she said, For 30 million, I go try. Laughter rippled through the pews. Rings were exchanged, a kiss followed. Brief and transactional, but social media exploded. Edward's driver opened the Rolls-Royce door. Veronica slid in with a theatrical sigh. Nay, so life be, from Pepsi seller to billionaire wife. Just like that. Edward said nothing. He stared out the window as the gates of his mansion opened, and the car rolled into a compound that looked like a palace, carved from dreams, white marble, glowing chandeliers, sculpted gardens. A place built to be admired, not lived in. Veronica stepped out and stared. This na house or museum? She followed him through the automatic doors, head turning at every luxury. Chicey kitchen, you fit fry plantain here. An ego tastes like 5-star hotel food. Your room's in the guest wing, Edward said sharply. Left corridor, second door, everything you need is there. Veronica raised a brow. You dey fear me. I don't mix business with pleasure. Good I know dey kiss man, we behave like robot. They stared at each other, a collision of fire and ice. Two people from different worlds thrown into a contract, neither fully understood. Veronica twirled in the foyer. Veronica Owu, billionaire wife, he still be like dream. She dropped her slippers at the base of the stairs. But make you no try nonsense. I be street, I know they carry last. And with that, the fire entered the palace, not in heels and pearls, but in rubber slippers and defiance. The mansion that once echoed with control would now learn chaos. Not the chaos of mess, but the kind that challenges, stirs, and questions everything. Upstairs, Edward poured himself a drink, hand shaking just slightly. Downstairs, Veronica explored like a tourist in a castle, amused, unbothered, and entirely herself. Neither of them knew it yet, but this was more than a deal. It was the beginning of war, of transformation, of something dangerous and irresistible. And somewhere deep inside both of them, though they'd never say it aloud, the question had already formed. What if this wasn't just a contract? What if this, whatever this was fate? The sun barely rose over Banana Island when Veronica woke up in silk sheets that felt more like clouds than cloth. The mansion was silent, too silent. No noisy generators, no distant horns, no smell of frying akara wafting through the air, just the soft hum of wealth, quiet and watching. She stretched lazily, her limbs unfamiliar with such softness, her mind still adjusting to the absurd reality she now lived in, from street hustler to billionaire's wife, all in the time it took to say, "I do." But this wasn't love. This was a transaction, a contract signed with stubbornness and pride. As she stepped into the hallway barefoot and wrapped in a silk robe that cost more than her entire wardrobe back in Mushin, she muttered under her breath, "Veronica, whetten you enter like this?" She walked into the kitchen and grabbed a bottle of water just as a maid scurried past and mumbled, "Good morning, Ma." Veronica blinked Ma. They were calling her Ma now. She scoffed. This mansion might be gilded in gold, but she wasn't about to lose her fire. Then came Edward, dressed like power in a perfectly tailored navy suit, his shoes clicking sharply against marble as he entered the kitchen with the air of a man who owned everything he saw. "You're expected in the dining room in 15 minutes, he said, not even sparing her a second glance. Veronica raised an eyebrow. "Expected, I no say I joined military service." Edward's jaw tightened. "This house runs on discipline and order. You're my wife now. I expect certain standards. Wife or prisoner?" She fired back, folding her arms. "You're not on the street anymore, Veronica. Behave like you belong here." That did it. She stepped toward him, eyes blazing. "Don't you dare throw that in my face. You found me because your perfect bride ran away. I'm not Tiffany. I'll never be. Tiffany knew her place." He snapped. Veronica's hand knocked a glass of water off the table. It shattered into pieces. "Well, congratulations. You married a woman who doesn't know her place and never will." Edward stepped closer, the tension so thick the air practically crackled. "Careful, Veronica. You're playing a dangerous game." She didn't flinch. "I've played worse. Try me." A beat of silence. Then he turned cold and sharp. "Breakfast, 15 minutes. He disappeared down the hall. Veronica stood there, chest heaving. This wasn't going to be a marriage. It was going to be war downstairs. Luna was already sipping orange juice in a silk robe, like the queen of chaos. "Someone woke up spicy," she said with a grin as Edward stormed past her. Moments later, Veronica entered, dressed in one of Luna's tight, colourful dresses, curls, wild eyes defiant. She didn't say a word, just sat. Luna raised her glass. "This is going to be fun." And so the days passed. Every interaction was a spark, every meal a battleground. Veronica refused to be silent. Edward refused to bend. But Luna, she saw it all like a script unfolding. She watched the way Edward's eyes lingered a little too long, the way Veronica's sarcasm softened ever so slightly when he wasn't looking. One afternoon, as Veronica lounged in the garden, wearing oversized sunglasses and flipping through a fashion magazine, Edward approached with the grace of a man about to announce judgment. "We're hosting a dinner tonight," he said flatly. "Important people. You need to look the part." "What's wrong with how I look?" she asked. He scoffed. "Everything. I'm not Tiffany," she said through clenched teeth. "I'm aware," he replied coldly, "which is exactly why you need help. If this is about your reputation, it is, and mine is worth 30 million. Get yourself together." She stood, fists clenched. "You should have bought a mannequin, not a wife." Before he could respond, Luna burst in, phone in hand, heels clicking like gunshots. Already on it, Veronica, darling. We're about to make magic. Veronica groaned. I didn't agree to this. You don't have to. I've already called my stylist. 5 outfit options. All your size. Snatched waist. Fire attitude. You'll thank me. I won't, Veronica muttered, but Luna ignored her and clapped her hands. Makeup team, let's go. The living room became a battlefield of fashion. Garment bags flew open. Makeup artists swarmed. Veronica sat in the chair, arms folded as foundation was dabbed onto her cheeks. This is ridiculous, she mumbled. No, this is reinvention, Luna said, holding up a slinky emerald dress. Edward may be a cold-hearted iceberg, but he'll melt tonight. I can't walk in that, Veronica said, pointing to the stilettos. You'll learn. You're not just dressing up for tonight, Luna added with a wink. You're rewriting the narrative. You're not a guest in Edward's life. You're the headline. Veronica rolled her eyes, but when she looked in the mirror, even she paused. She looked fierce, elegant, untamed, like royalty who had clawed her way out of the mud. That night, the ballroom of Edward's mansion glittered like a dream. Celebrities, politicians, CEOs mingled under crystal chandeliers. Everyone whispered, "Is it true? Did Tiffany really leave him? Who's the new wife?" Then the staircase lit up, footsteps echoed, heads turned, and Veronica descended, shimmering, regal, dangerous in the emerald dress that hugged her, curves like silk and heels that made her walk like vengeance. Edward saw her and froze. For a moment he didn't move, didn't speak, didn't breathe. That can't be the same woman from the suya stand, but it was, and she was stunning. You clean up well, he said when she reached him, and you still look like a constipated statue. She replied sweetly. His jaw tightened. Try not to embarrass me tonight. I was about to say the same. The guests watched as they took the spotlight. Edward raised a glass. Ladies and gentlemen, I know tonight's gathering was unexpected, but life surprises us. Sometimes it gives us exactly what we need in the most unusual packages. This is my wife, Veronica. Gasps echoed her. The street girl. She looks like royalty. Yes, Edward continued. I married her. Not out of desperation, but instinct. Because while beauty can be bought, personality cannot, and hers fiery. Don't pretend you like it, Veronica whispered through her smile. I don't, he replied, but it makes for excellent PR. Liar, she said, and they smiled for the cameras. Polite applause, flashbulbs, laughter. But under it all, a war of eyes, words, wills later on the mansion's terrace. Veronica stepped into the moonlight in an oversized robe, barefoot, a glass of water in her hand. Edward stood near this balcony, brooding. You're unusually quiet, he said. Rich people hate noise, she replied. He turned to her. You didn't speak pidgin all night. She raised a brow. Excuse me. When I met you, you were all fire and slang. Today you were polished, educated, refined. She burst out laughing. Edward, you think Sana, only you go school. He blinked. We CF go school. Oh, I sabi your grammar. Pass some of your friends. But when life, slap person, we enter survival mode. Whose school help when landlord day bang door for rent? He stared. So you've been pretending? I wasn't pretending. That was survival, this. She gestured to her gown, her flawless makeup. This is also me. He didn't know what to say. You confuse me, he admitted. You irritate me, she replied. Thunder rolled in the distance. I'm going to sleep, she said, turning to go. Veronica, he called. She paused. You surprise me tonight. Her voice came soft. Get used to it. And with that, she disappeared inside. The next morning, Edward found her in the kitchen, barefoot and humming as she flipped plantain on a pan. He stared, she looked over her shoulder. "You once stand there, they look like ghost." "Good morning," he muttered. "Good morning, ogre, billionaire." Her hair was wrapped, her face bare, but her confidence fulfilled the room like perfume. "No fancy dress today?" he asked. "Everyday woman they wear gown inside house, or you want give tailor permanent job?" He chuckled, then frowned. "You've changed since yesterday." "No," she corrected. "You've changed, you dey greet now." They stared at each other. For once he looked away first. "I'm going to work," he muttered. "Edward," she said. He turned. "You still owe me 30 million. He blinked. "I'm not joking. You said 30 million. I kept my part. I'm your wife. Now keep your part." His jaw clenched. "You'll get it. When I get back." "Good, because I'm not just your project. I'm your equal, whether you like it or not." He stared at her, a retort forming, but something in her gaze stopped him. He left. She exhaled, flipping her plantain. "Omo, this man get wahala," she muttered. "But he go learn." The mansion was unusually still after Edward left for work, but Veronica thrived in silence. She drank her cold water and leaned against the counter, eyes tracing the marble patterns beneath her bare feet. This house was luxury incarnate, crystal chandeliers, towering staircases, furniture too fine to sit on, but it was missing something. Soul. No scent of stew simmering on the stove. No laughter from children running barefoot across tiled floors. No warm noise that meant someone was alive and loved. Just cold perfection. After finishing her plantain and eggs, Veronica cleaned the kitchen herself, ignoring the hovering maid, and wandered the house like a tourist in a palace. She paused before a glass shelf filled with Edward's awards and framed magazine covers. There he was. Forbes, Africa's top 10 Lego's most eligible bachelor. From vision to empire. She scoffed. "Fine title, but who you be without the suit?" Her fingers brushed across a photo of him, shaking hands with a president. He was polished, powerful, but now she'd seen what lay beneath, the cracks, the fear, the pride that masked pain. Upstairs, she entered the master bedroom. The faint scent of cedarwood and expensive cologne clung to the air. His suits lined one side of the closet, tailored, pressed, immaculate. Her side, empty hangers. She smirked. "Luna better bring that stylist back before I borrow wrapper every day." She caught a glimpse of herself in the full-length mirror. Hair tied in a casual scarf, oversized shirt draped over her frame. She smiled slowly. "Veronica, you fine, Shah." "No, be lie, even without glam." Back in the city, Edward sat at the head of a conference room filled with board members, but his mind wasn't there. Figures blurred on charts. Forecasts became meaningless noise. All he saw were her eyes, defiant, smart, challenging. She wasn't just a wild street girl, she was rising, independent, unapologetically herself. "Mr. Usu," a voice called. "Are you comfortable with the Q3 projections?" Edward blinked. "Yes, fine, proceed." But he wasn't fine. He'd married Veronica to save face to control the story. Yet now he was no longer in control. She was growing beyond the role he had scripted for her. Later that afternoon, in his private office, he poured a drink and stared out at the skyline. He muttered under his breath. She asked for her money, like she was closing a business deal. Who does that? But a slow smirk pulled at his lips. She's chaos, but damn if she isn't captivating. Meanwhile, at home, Veronica was sprawled on the couch, flipping through channels. A talk show caught her attention. Nigerian women who built empires. She watched, half amused, half inspired. She whispered. "Them go soon. Add my name." She picked up her phone and dialed a number. "Nene, guess wedding happen. I marry billionaire. No be joke." But this one, he get pride. Like lion, Wahala, billionaire. She laughed into the phone as her voice filled the mansion like music. Over the next few days, Veronica disappeared from the house more and more. While Edward buried himself in masjid meetings and reports, she was building something that mattered to her. She used her 30 million to rent a space near a busy intersection, a prime location with endless foot traffic. With a sharp eye and bold taste, she designed a place that blended class with warmth, soft lighting, velvet seating, gold-rimmed cutlery, wooden floors that echoed elegance. She called it V's Haven. It was more than a restaurant. It was her empire in the making. She trained her staff herself, 5 waiters, 2 chefs, 1 manager. Every uniform had to be perfect. Maroon jackets, gold, name tags, spotless black shoes. She wore a custom jumpsuit with gold embroidery and her name stitched into the collar. No one would ever call her a street girl again, not unless they meant it with respect. When the restaurant opened, it was chaos and magic. "Nah, who order ASO and jollof combo?" Veronica shouted playfully, balancing a tray while weaving between tables. A group of boys raised their hands. "You want chopped coconut rice today? Sweet like first love?" Oh! Laughter burst across the room. But when a high-end couple entered, she switched instantly. "Good evening, sir, madam. Please enjoy your grilled tilapia. If you need any adjustments, I'm right here." Staff admired her. "Auntie V too, Sabi," one whispered. She get class and street blend together. During a break, she gathered them. "Listen, treat these customers like dem carry our destiny. But if anybody form anyhow, report 'em no. B, say we go they swallow insult because of tips. But," she raised a finger, "this place must shine. Cleanliness, confidence, grace. Let them dine the V's Haven way." As the sun set, the restaurant glowed. Veronica stood at the entrance, arms folded, smiling. This wasn't luck, this was legacy. Then Luna walked in, dressed in high-fashion heels, clicking sunglasses too large for indoors. She scanned the room and smiled. "You did it," she said. "Veronica, this place is stunning." They sat near the window. "You've done wonders with your 30 million, Luna said softly. "It's been hard, but this is my dream," Veronica whispered after a moment of silence. Luna leaned in. "I spoke to Tiffany." Veronica raised a brow. "You did?" "She said she left Edward because he was arrogant, controlling, cold. She said it wasn't love. It was performance." Veronica nodded slowly. "Doesn't surprise me. But here's the twist," Luna added. "I think Edward's falling for you." Veronica blinked. "Falling for me? I've seen the way he watches you, quiet, calculating, confused." Veronica chuckled. "That one, please. He probably misses controlling people." "No," Luna insisted. "You challenge him. Tiffany broke, but you push back." They clinked glasses, a new alliance forged. "Let's see who breaks first," Veronica said. "Or who surrenders," Luna whispered. That night, Veronica returned home, expecting silence. But Edward was on the couch. No scotch, no sarcasm, just sitting with a book in his lap. He looked up as she passed. "Veronica," he said. She stopped. "I've been watching you. The business, the restaurant. You've done something incredible." She blinked. "You're proud of me?" "Yes, I mean it." And with that, he stood and left. No lecture, no insult, just quiet respect. She stood frozen. For the first time since entering this mansion, she felt seen. A few days later, Edward walked into V's Haven without warning. Sharp suit, no arrogance, just purpose. Veronica noticed him instantly. "I'm sorry for barging in," he said, "but I can't hold it anymore." She raised a brow. He climbed the platform where the band played, picked up the mic. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, voice steady. "Forgive the interruption. I came not as a CEO, but as a man who found something worth fighting for." Whispers filled the room. "I married Veronica out of desperation. I was broken, angry, but she is fire. She's taught me to feel again. I love her." Veronica's heart pounded. She stepped forward. "You think say only you get feelings?" she said in pidgin, then switched to English. "I love you too, even when your arrogance makes me want to slap your fine face." Laughter. Edward pulled out a box, a ring, blue sapphire surrounded by diamonds. "This isn't a wedding ring. It's a promise to love you the way you deserve. No more performance. Just up." He slid it onto her finger. Tears streamed down her cheeks as they embraced. Luna clapped from the door. "Finally," Veronica whispered into his ear. "No more guest room." "Never again," he whispered back. 1 week passed. Laughter now echoed in Edward's mansion. Mornings were filled with teasing kisses and hot plantain. Evenings carried the scent of jollof and the warmth of true companionship. Then one night, Edward sat alone staring at a framed photo of Tiffany. He dialed. She answered. "Edward, I'm sorry." He said, "For everything I didn't love you, I loved the idea of you." There was silence. "I don't regret leaving," she said finally. "I hope you've changed." Downstairs, Veronica's voice rang. "Baby dinner, ready." He looked at the photo one last time, then closed the drawer. Veronica was waiting at the table humming, dressed in her casual jumpsuit. She looked up and smiled as he entered. He wrapped his arms around her. "I love you, Veronica. You changed me, not just my life, me." She grinned. "Good, because this woman, no day joke with her love, full package." They sat down, fingers intertwined, hearts aligned once upon a time. Edward had everything, but nothing real now with Veronica. He had everything that mattered, not just love, but love earned. Thank you so much for staying with us until the very end of this unforgettable love story between Edward and Veronica. From unexpected beginnings to powerful transformation, their journey has shown us that real love isn't always perfect. It's earned, tested, and ultimately honest. If you enjoyed this story, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let us know which moment touched you the most or what surprised you along the way. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another emotional, powerful, and beautifully told story like this one. Your support means the world to us, and more heartfelt tales are on the way. Thank you for watching. Stay inspired, stay passionate, and remember, love always finds its way.